Hey, good morning. How you doing? All right, my name is Vaughn. As you can see, the Fade Artist. That's what I call myself. I've been in this game, in this industry, over 20 years. And I work in the Valley now, Studio City. Um, Big clientele. I've been doing it for years, 20 years. I work presently in a salon now in Studio City called Fame. So I'm constantly cutting hair and I'm in the industry now. I do pretty much a lot of set work. I've traveled, I've been to Paris. Raphael Sadiq is one of my clients. I cut his hair and I'm working on the show now, The X's on TV Land. Donald Faison, I just picked him up, so barbershop. Because when I'm cutting, I'm really, he'll tell you, I'm not on the phone. I'm not one of those barbers that's trying to eat or answer the phone, and I don't like when customers text. That's a barber's nightmare. You gotta tell your clients, put signs up. People like texting, holding their head down, and I hate it, you know. But anyway, we're gonna get into this demo. I like to go over first though sanitation, disinfection. That's important. A lot of people don't really know how to sanitize or disinfect properly, so I'm gonna go over that. I like to always do that. Like I said, I'm gonna give you, my goal is to give you something that you didn't know today you're gonna know how to do. Is that cool or what?
Yes.
All right, so let's start. When I first started cutting hair, I thought this was enough as far as disinfection. I'm like that. It's not. You see different skin conditions that come in, and it just didn't make sense to this. I've always been conscious though. I've always been clean, neat, but this didn't make sense. So I started cutting and working with other barbers. I started realizing this is what you really need to use. They got various brands. Can you see in the back? Marbleside, disinfectant, and this even has one, but it's important to use a disinfectant, and this solution has to remain on the blade for at least 10 minutes. That's the magic number. I'm sure like when you go to state board, you know, what's the magic number? 10 minutes. So it's the same. This to be thoroughly sanitized. I myself as a barber, the way I get around that is I work with various clippers. So if I cut Austin's hair here, I spray it down. When another client comes in, I have another set that I use. While this is disinfectant, the next client is ready to use, ready to oil down and use. Understand? So that's important to be conscious of. This, you want your clippers off, and it's simple. After a haircut, you kind of. But you see, I got the hair from the blade with the clippers off. Just spray it on there. About 10 minutes. That's it. That's all you have to do. So we're going to do this now before I get into this demo. Okay, now the next step of sanitation. The real true step is now making sure, I know Austin, he knows, all my clients know. The first step in sanitation is for the client's hair, especially when you're clipping cutting, you want the hair to be clean, dry, shampoo, you know. But a lot of my clients know that I like the hair clean. I don't like it greasy, you know. If I have to shampoo it, that's it. But the hair has to be clean and dry. If not, some clients come in and they're in a hurry. They may not have a lot of stuff in their hair, but you have to handle business. After the haircut, you can use this blade wash. Are you all familiar with this? In the blade, it happens. You know, people come in, they sweat, they perspire, it gets in your clipper sometime, and you have to know how to flush your blades out. So that's why I got this little bowl here. This is not a disinfectant. I've seen barbers, you know, after every cut, you know, dipping their clippers in this solution. It gets the gook and the grease off, but it's important to know this is not a disinfectant. How many of y'all knew that? You didn't know, you thought it was a disinfectant? It cleans your clippers, but it's important to know after you use this, you still have to follow up with this. So I'm gonna show you all how to use this here. You get a saucer. It can, I wanted a clear one, but this is all we had around here. It's fine. This is enough to immerse the blade in. This is not water. I've had someone ask me, can they use water? Electricity, don't do that. This is a special, it's clear though like water, so, you know, be careful. I usually, like I said, a lot of my clients, they shampoo their hair. I don't really have that problem with greasy hair, but at least once a week I do dip my clippers, so This here, when you're getting the hair from in between the, same thing, brush the hair out. Because what happens is when you use this solution here, it pulls the hair out and it comes in a bone. I don't know if you can see it, but with the blade running, you hear that, right? You dip only the teeth, hold it for about 10 to 15 minutes, and usually you'll see, I don't have a lot of gook in mine, but you'll see the gook come down the bottom. And then let it drain, the excess drain in there. And that's it. Alright, and then you will follow up, of course, after that, you'll disinfect. And then after using this, you won't even drop some oil. So I'll go over the oil in a minute. This is where the oil comes in at. Before each cut, and you all have adjustable clippers too, I imagine just said, okay. Drop 2 to 3 drops. Maybe 4, cheated. Open and close to distribute the oil. You see, I'm not just, draining like that. Some barbers do that. Oil, I don't like it because it gets on the skin, so I try not to put too much, but this 3 to 4 drops. I'm letting the excess run in the top. Not a disinfectant. It has a cleaning agent in it, but it doesn't disinfect, so it comes back to needing a disinfectant. I like this here. I use this because of the pleasant aroma. Some of them are really harsh, so I like this. Is one of my favorite ones, so I get that. Let me answer your question about the blades, the changing of the blades. Now, on this type of clipper here, the magnetic motor clipper, you don't have to change it as much, maybe once a year. You don't have to. I know a lot of barbers that just change the whole clipper. That's what we do. We usually just retire the clipper and get a new one, but you can keep the same clipper. They run well. This motor, by the way, by Andis, the master motor, Masters by Andis. You want to invest in your equipment. This here is a great investment. It's not like the universal, but it cuts well and it handles well on the head, and it really gets that line out. But to answer your question, you can change this maybe once a year. This is not important, but what is important is your blade that you use for your hairline trimming and shaving. I have a lot of clients. I do 50 to 55 clients a week. So I have to change my blades at least I like to change them every 3 to 5 months. Every 3, between 3 and 5 months, I actually go get them resharpened. I'm actually due to do that this week, actually. But every 3, as I answer your question, every 3 to 5, depending on how much you cut. Now, clipper cutting is something you can add to your business in the salon. You don't have to. You have a client under the dryer, you can get you a clipper cut in. So in that case, and that's the wonderful thing about being a cosmetologist, you can add this. This will boost your revenue. I personally just clipper cut, but so depending on how much you cut, if you don't cut as much, you probably, if you don't have as many clients, maybe you can go 6 months to a year. But you will be able to tell when your blade's getting dull. You should be able to touch it,
So you get them sharpened instead of...
I get them sharpened right out of the box, I do, because it cuts a certain way. I get it sharpened right out of the box. I go to this place on Victory. It's a Povita, the shaver shop.
What brand are those? Well,
these here?
Yeah.
These are Andis.
Andis? Okay.
Andis, I'm an Andis junkie. I love Andis. I mean, they're real precise. Excuse me?
Are they better than Wall?
Wall is good, but I prefer Andis over all of them. Right. This particular clipper here, this is the universal motor clipper here. Great clipper. Has a lot of attachment to it. I kind of use this in my cuts now. When I first started cutting hair, I didn't even use them. But they save time. They're fast feeding, so they get through hair a little fast, so they're strong. But the main difference, of course, is the motor. The motor doesn't get warm as quick, and it's just great for, like, a lot of my clients come in, even all over style, I can put a number 1 blade on and cut their hair. But one thing I do, like I said, I don't have every blade. I have this certain blade. I kind of use them with my hair cutting system, but there are a lot of blades, and what concerns me is the disinfecting process. You see, for me, the way I cut, for me to totally be able to use these clippers, and I see barbers using, and I think this is why a lot of shops, have you seen some guys, they break out in the back, you know, it's called barber's itch. You know, that crusty. I think the problem is the sanitation, the disinfecting, because to be able to properly think about what I just told you all, for this to stay on the blade for 10 minutes, you would need 2 to 3 sets of each guard, and it's about 13. You know, it's about a lot. It's a lot of metal guards that go with this. So you would need to get doubles for every one. And these things cost from, I think, $15 and up, so they're expensive. So it's too many blades to have to disinfect. So I use this in my hair cutting system, but I prefer to have 2, maybe 3 pair of these, and the same with the rest of my clippers. So, you know, Austin would tell you, I got a line of clippers, so I look like a surgeon. You know, you come get your hair cut, I got all these different clippers. So today, we're not even going to use this. I usually, when I do my demos, I like to use these, but I'm kind of, today I want to show you all, this is going to be a demo, but it's going to be like a little workshop. So all you need for this particular cut we're doing today, before I go further, is your magnetic motor clipper. The ones in your set are fine. Have the adjustable lever on it as well. You need this. Exactly. See, that's what I'm saying. You're going to see improvement. I'm going to explain that. When the blade is open, it leaves the hair longest. When it's closed, it cuts the hair shorter. And I'll get more into it during the cut. And when you're fading, it's important. I don't know if you all can see with this particular clipper, that's why when you invest in your equipment, you get more from it. But can you see the little dots and indentations? Yeah. You don't need that on your clipper. You just know on your head. But as you're fading out that line, as you will see today, you need to inch it closed. So I'm going to show you how to do that. This just has a marking so you know it's easier. But with your own clipper, it's the same concept. You understand? You just know this inch it closed. You know, just a little way up until it's eventually closed. And the line should be almost out, okay? So we're going to do that. And you need some trimmers. Do you have trimmers?
Yeah, we do.
You do? And this, once again, you see my blade here, I use a T-edge. They have a smaller blade. The T-edge, for years, you know, they're just good for edging. They get in the corners really well. But you do have to be careful when you're edging because this blade is wide. So you could take someone's line back, not meaning to. So I'm going to show you all today how to do that. And lining takes practice. It's not something that you can just pick up. Some people have a natural eye, a hand with it. I personally, I'm good, but I've gotten way better in the years, you know. I use a mirror as a tool. When I'll explain that in a minute. Whenever you cut, I know you don't like, you know, you're cutting someone's hair and you turn them around in a mirror and they start looking in there and looking at the haircut. Don't you hate that? You just have to learn how to handle it, and you know, as soon as you turn them, they want to touch it. Hey, you're gonna cut more off. All right, so you need, these are for trimming. These are for trimming, maybe mustache, all that. I have, these are my barbers. I use these to get the hair on the side, skin tight. Again, they're T-blade. This is good for shaving. This is always good. I shave with this. I shave my head bald. And once again, I usually get these sharpened because you want to. We can't use a straight razor, as you know, but these clippers get it, you know, just as low. You can do well with it. I mean, it's about adjusting. I should have showed you all how to adjust, but it's too critical. You would have to. Usually, barbers, when they get this, they take the screws off and they move the blade forward. You know, when you buy them, they don't really cut as close as they should, so you do have to kind of adjust them yourself. Did you all know that? No. For it to cut right, you have to kind of adjust it. I don't know. I would recommend maybe taking it to the shaver shop and having them adjust it for you, or, you know, when I'm here, I don't mind. You all have some today, I would adjust it when I come in. I don't mind doing it, so. All right, so you got that. So you know you need a pair of clippers solely for balding. Do you all have it? You have this? No? Okay, so I guess the students would just have to use, you just have to kind of use your trimmers. You can, starting off, you can actually just use, you can use this too. Me as a barber over the years, I like to distribute my blade, you know what I mean? I don't like I said, I already have to go every 3 months. So if I'm balding with these here, it's going to dull these to the point where when I'm edging, I'm going to have to keep you know, trying to get that straight. It's a certain look, you know, you want when you're edging up. So I use these solely for edging. I don't shave with these. I use these solely for shaving. If I'm doing someone beard, they're sharp. I can kind of get a edge with them, but I mainly shave with it. You understand? So, but just starting off, I guess it's fair students. All you need is your adjustable and a pair of trimmers. I would recommend T-blade, but if you had a smaller blade, we can work with it. All right. And then one more thing before we get into you see I had these guards here. Once again, this is Andis. Easiest way I can describe guard, because you know it can get kind of confusing. You know, you see 1, 2, 3, 4. The smaller the guard, the more hair it takes off. This is the smaller one. This is Andis, and their size is a 00. But this is a number 1. That's usually what I use on Austin there. The bigger the guard, the more hair leads on. You understand that? It's that simple. And if you're not sure, always start larger and work your way down. Your client will rather you leave more hair and have to adjust it than cut too much off. It's not coming back. People freak out over that. So just remember, the bigger the guard, the more hair leads on. The smaller, the more hair it takes off. All right. So, Austin, let's get this going. Want y'all to say hi to Austin. Hi. There you go. It's not easy to get models, but when I told him it was going to be a bunch of beautiful women, it was not hard. And I do use sanic strips. I have my own little technique. You know how they come off. You got to use them, though. I'm going to tell you why. People come in, not Austin, but some clients will try to come in from the gym. They all wet. You don't want to be putting this cape on everybody every day, so it's important. If you walk in shops, I want you all to be aware of stuff now. Be on this disinfection. When you go to don't make no one mad or nothing, but you know, look at barbers. A lot of barbers, when you walk in shops, they'll just have this around a person's neck. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not a good thing. You know, they can break out in a rash or anything. People have different skin conditions and problems. So, as a cosmetologist, a licensed one like you all are doing, you have to protect your client at all times. So, awesome. I use these all the time, don't lie. So what I did is I like to show it, you know, I have my own technique. You see how I took it straight? I'm trying to be neat about everything. I kind of wrap it around. Let's do this. I kind of wrap it around my own little way and tuck it. See that? And then when I come back, I like using the button capes because I don't know, I don't like the Velcro, they wear out. So kind of button it, thank you. And then I'll fold it back down. I try to be neat about everything. And sometimes when a client is moving or doing something, it come loose, so it's important they stay still. Okay, now, like I said, the first step in sanitation, you want to make sure his hair is clean and dry. I already know. We spoke last night via text, and yeah, it's clean, and you can use detail, so that's good. And the next thing is you want to find out. Now, Austin wears a skin tight fade. I'm gonna do that today. I like demonstrating this particular cut. It actually leads to know how to cut all the other cuts, haircuts. It demonstrates, you know, being able to fade the line out completely. The easiest way to get rid of a line is never to create one. See that?
Right.
When you're starting a skin tight fade, like I said, this is a workshop today. I'm giving you secrets. Do not start with your trimmers. Reason is they cut, these are my bald, I told you they bald. So when you indenting a line in like that, it's harder to remove it. So you don't want to indent a line. With some types of hair and different hair types, I'm just used to dealing with different textures. So that's where once you experience dealing with all textures, you'll be able to cut all types of hair. I'll do a skin tight on Austin, and if I was doing a skin tight on, what's your name?
Carlos.
Carlos. I was doing a skin tight on Carlos. I would start the same way. Now Carlos has more fine texture hair, so I'm gonna really be careful on how I approach putting the line. We're not even gonna call it a line. We're gonna call it a guideline. Like you have a guideline in your hair cutting, clipper cutting, you establish a guideline when you clipper cutting. So when you putting that guideline in with Carlos, I would be more, you know, skeptical of how I'm putting it in, because his hair will hold a line easier than Austin's. You understand? Just looking at it, I can just look at his hair. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna do a skin tight fade on him today. We're gonna have some fun. One thing I want you all to do when you're sitting around, clipper cutting involves a lot of wrist movement. A lot of times when you're starting off, we use too much of our arm. When you start getting into a fade being high, low, some guys will wear temper tapers, you will have to know how to use your wrist. So when you're sitting around sometimes, believe me, especially if you haven't had any clipper experience, this will kind of cut some of the awkwardness off of it. You know what I mean? Just sitting there, I'm telling you. So when you start cutting, you feel a lot comfortable. So just kind of, you know, sit around. Right, yeah, there you go, that's good. Your clippers, now I was mentioning earlier with your adjustable clippers, when it's open, it leaves the hair longer. So that's a term we're using, it's open longer. When I say closed, it's all the way closed. This cuts the hair port shorter. You all knew that, right? When you start in this particular fade here, you're gonna start with this. These get low, but they don't indent a line. It's gonna look pretty low when I start cutting, but they're not gonna indent a line. And Austin fade, I will call it a medium. You know, you have your high fade, medium, low fade. You understand? And it's just a matter of asking the client what he or she wants. But how do you usually wear your hair? How do you want it cut?
Short fade, and then keep the chin straps.
You want to keep the chin strap?
Yeah, just real low.
Okay. You want low on top?
A little bit more on top than on the sides.
Okay, but down low though, right?
Yeah.
About half of this.
Yeah.
Okay. So you see that? You consult before you clipper cut, before you start with any client. Because some people come in and ask for a Philly fade. People, they live all over in this world, so people have different terms. Barbers name their cuts, you know what I mean? And the client will take it on, think it's all over the world, so they'll come in and be like, give me a Philly fade or 5 o'clock shadow. Only thing you have to establish is how he wants it cut. You notice he used the term chin strap. Have you all heard that before?
No.
You heard it? Yeah, no. See what I mean? Would you have known what that was if he said it? Look at it. Look at his beard though. If you look at it, it's like a chin strap, right? So he said keep it. And that's why I wanted him to go ahead. He did a good job. Because when they come in, that's how they'll tell you, that's how they talk. All right, so let's start this. Y'all ready for me to start?
Yeah.
If you have questions, let me know. So the first thing I do with Austin head, his hair, you can kind of see it goes forward on tight. I'm combing it in his hair growth pattern, the way his hair grows, because I'm gonna cut like that. This particular haircut, you cutting with the grain and against it. So let's start. Clippers on. Like I said, open. We're gonna start with the blade all the way what?
Open.
What?
That's closed.
All the way closed, yeah. All the way open is leaving it longer. All right? So close like this. All right. Close. Notice I'm using my wrist. You see that? See how it's coming down? It look low, huh? Believe it or not, it's not an indented line. Can you tell that? An indented line will be a lot lower. So we're not indented. This is our guideline. So I'm steadily combing his hair back down in the growth pattern. Notice that I get used to using your wrist. Alright. So how many of y'all can do this? Don't scare me. Okay. Notice I'm real careful around the ear area. Make sure. Right.
So that's a low fade?
This is a medium fade. Yeah, his fade is gonna be right around here. He don't want it too high up. Some guys prefer their fade higher than this. Some guys like it lower than this. You have to know how to establish that line and how not to take this line up once you have it here. Yeah. I'm gonna keep doing this as I go. You'll be like, oh wow. I just want you to call me and say it worked. Okay. I'm just like this by nature, you know. I'm a neat guy, so I go over stuff. Let me stop. Jump on. You see that though? You don't have to be perfect, but you see that? This shirt, you know, his fade is gonna pretty much be around here when we finish. Now the next step is we put the guideline in. One thing about hair cutting, when you're fading out or you're doing a fade cut, is it makes more sense for the cut to gradually have more hair on and go down to nothing, right? So that's how I cut, that's how I teach. This is the difference with the way I teach how to cut hair. So what we're gonna do now is, Austin in the consultation, he already told me he wants half off. But if you're not sure, you ask your client how much hair does he want cut off the top now. Because at this point, we're gonna work from this point down and gradually fade this out to nothing. So what we're about to do now is we're gonna trim Austin's hair. He wears a number 1 on top. This is fun. That's why I bought him as a demo, because it's a fun cut and it's easy to learn. I'm using a number 1 guard. This is the shortest guard. Remember I told you? You cut against the grain with this particular cut Austin doing, because we're coming down. And his hair, you see how it falls? It falls. So believe it or not, with his hair type, because it falls down, even trying to cut, if he didn't want it as low, I would still have to go against the grain and smooth it out. You understand? Just because his hair type. Right now, if I tried to go just cut with the grain, it probably had dips in it. You know what I mean? Just because of his hair type. So it's important. The more and more hair types you work with, you'll be able to see that. But I know for a fact from cutting his hair that he wears it low. So with the blade,
Close.
there you go. All the way closed, we're gonna cut all this down. So let's do it. Now you notice I'm cutting his hair from the top. I'm using more of my arm now. You see that? And his hair is clean. I like dealing with clean hair because you notice it falls right to the cake. When it's gooky and stuff, which I hate when my clients do that to me, it sticks to my clipper, my arm. They know after a while.
How many times do you have to run it on each spot?
Well, just until it smooths out. You notice I'm going over it a bit here. But just till you see it smoothed out. I'm going to show you another trick we're going to do also. We're going to cut against the grain, then I'm going to have to smooth it out. So we just leveling this out. His hair was long. I told him wanted it nice and long for the demo. Austin usually comes in, oh yeah, now for this particular cut here, what's cool about a fade, guys come in on the average, I got a lot of clients that come in every week, but on the average, you can have a client appointment every 2 weeks. That's all. So you have to charge for everything in the salon. It took me a while to figure that out. And notice, one more, if you notice, I'm cutting directly against his hair growth. His hair goes forward, I'm cutting back with it. So you see what I'm doing? Like I said, so we took the top down. Now, of Austin, this is simple here. He's getting his hair cut down at a number 1 level. But if it was a number 2 or number 3, it would be the same ordeal. You can understand? I would trim it at 3 on top, trim it down, and then work my way down on the side. Some guys don't go skin tight. Some guys leave a little bit more hair on the side. I call that a shadow fade. A lot of my clients I've been doing, like how long have I been doing your hair, Austin?
7 years, 7 years.
Yeah, see, I've been doing this hair for a while. So a lot of my clients, I work by appointment. I'm not, you can't just walk in on me. So you saw me go against the grain. The trick with Austin hair, like I said, we got to cut with the grain too. So I want to smooth it out. We're not going to cut it lower. So what I'm gonna do to do that is I took the guard off, and that was the smallest guard. But now what we're gonna do, who said that? Someone said it. Yeah, I'm gonna open it, so she got it. With the blade open, I'm just gonna gently, I'm gonna smooth Austin's top out. It's not gonna take any more hair off.
Why did you take the guard off?
Oh, cause we finished with his hair, this particular haircut?
That's the same, wait, with it open is the same as with the guard?
No, with the guard, remember I had it on and I had it closed. And I cut against the grain. Cause he's at, for this particular cut, he cuts his hair at a number 1. It just the more and more you cut, you'll start knowing the terms. People come in and ask for a number 1, a number 2. So when I say a number 1, that term, it's just low. That's the lowest you can go with a guard. So what I do is when I do that, you have to smooth it out. So I took the guard off, and with the blade open, I'm not gonna. It's this gonna be longer. This is actually longer. Yeah. So the blade open, cutting with the grain. You see, it's not gonna take much off. You can kind of hear a little, but just gonna get just those little ends off. And Austin has a weird hairline, so I like that hair on that hairline to lay down. When I trim it, I want to.
It's like smoothing it out.
Yeah, it's smooth. There you go. You smooth it. So that's what I'm doing here. Like Carlos said, I'm actually smoothing the top of Austin's hair out. Exactly. There you go. You getting it?
Okay.
So I'm smooth, but yeah, when she was at, now if I was to go against the grain with the same.
With it open?
With it open, it would bring his hair down. You all understand that now? Okay.
Not
So,
the way.
see, there we go. So I'm smoothing it real quick. All right. So the next step now is we're gonna start. Remember I told you about this lever or the adjustment on your side? This is where it comes. You start using it to get this line out. This guideline. We're gonna start with it open. All right.
Wait.
So with the blade open, we'll start now. This is where a lot of wrist control comes in. Each time you lower this lever on the side, we're not gonna upstroke as high. That's gonna be the term I'm using now. Because if you keep upstroking to the same point, guess what? This fade is gonna come up. We wanna keep it, when I'm finished, I want it to be right here. So you just have to be conscious in your mind, and that's why wrist control, and every time I shorten this, you're gonna notice, and I'll keep you all aware. I'm not gonna upstroke as high. So with the blade open, we're pretty much gonna start blending this line out. So, and I'm right on the line. Notice I'm not going up. I'm not going all the way up here. I'm right pretty much where I started. Bear with me. Just a little. I kind of, it's my technique. I've seen, there's no right or wrong way of doing nothing in this industry. I've seen barbers do one side, then they do the other. I kind of, I zigzag. I just like hawks. I kind of do those we call them Afro hawks. But I'll do one side and I'll do the other at a certain point. But I still use, I don't know if that's good or bad, because some of my clients come in, they're heavy. And I be working now, So, I don't know. Not you, Austin. One of my clients broke my chair. You remember my chair was broke? Yeah. Trying to get some people in there. Okay, now. What we're going to do is, on mine, you can see the lever. And I recommend, if you invest in your business now, if you can pick some of these up, these are great. But you see how this moved it up? Mm-hmm. And now on your clippers, it's gonna be a little. You just gotta know this inch it. Don't even freak out. This know when you start shortening this, it's cutting shorter, so you don't have to upstroke as high. Okay? So we're gonna do the same thing. You know what? I knew someone was gonna say. I don't know why I did that, but yeah. I mean,
Well, you have to, yeah, to get the line out, just pull up on.
I guess it was natural. So yeah, you're right. Right when you said, I was thinking. I said, someone's gonna ask me about that, but not with every client's hair. You know what I mean? Depends on the haircut you're doing, but I guess with Austin's scalp, you can kind of see where it dips a little, so to get that hair in that area. It was just something I did naturally. Not even thinking about it, but.
Especially because it's like so low, I guess too. It's like bald, so you.
Okay.
Get real close.
Okay, so you see how it's starting to lighten up? So we doing it. Okay, wait a minute. Let's show them too. Can you all see? Yeah. Now this part of the demo, I usually have a student come up and finish this cut. Any volunteers? You already know, look, you know. Boy, awesome, look. I done tricked him to a demo. He looked there. Okay, so did you see that? You see what I did? I lowered it, and I'm not upstroking as high. And like someone mentioned, I did, I guess, I kind of pulled the skin in some areas because Allison's here. Okay. We'll go up a little more. So. And notice now, can you notice where I'm at now on this line? You notice I'm not upstroking as high. Austin Fade has maintained its shape because I have not went up with, I'm not going up with his line anymore. This is for a lot of people learning. I realize this is the tricky part here. But like I said, if you take your time and it's kind of, you know, if you have to just slow down and just pick at it and just take your time, you'll get a good cut and you get a client coming back. That's what you want. Fading down lower, not up as high at all. This hair, like a military, we call it the high and tight. I would have went up higher with it, you know. A lot of guys, a lot of military, some guys wear that. I got some guys that wear that. It's almost closed. You see that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So the same. All right. See that? Mm-hmm. It's all wrist now. And the reason I taught you all this because I really want you all to cut and see improvement. And like I said, it's once you start hair cutting more and getting into it, you know, the 76ers, you'll start incorporating your own style of cutting, you know. But you could do this right now in the salon and build you a good clientele. It's all about how you cut. You see that? See what's coming out? It's not even closed yet. Closed. I did a good job of not indenting a line in this hair. And because of that, you know, time is money. You know, so it's not, I won't be concentrating on getting a line out. And in some areas, I know you're looking at, in some areas, of course, you go over, you know, you go back and you touch up, but that's, you know, when we start landing the haircut. The haircut is coming too now. Cut. I'm only on this low, this part here. I'm not up at all. I don't want to go up too much further, because when it's closed like this, guess what? If I keep going up, it's closed now. Now it's going to start creating a line in itself. So you got to be careful. But as I told you when I was at my first salon, which was by all means years ago, I used to trim the back of this lady's neck. She just wanted it trimmed, but as she came in, as I got there, because I got really busy quick, and she said, you work like an artist. And that's why I came up with it. I was doing a fade at the time when she said it, so that's how I came up with the fade artist. Okay, so of course we're not finished, but do you see what's going on here? See that? Yeah. You all do that? Now you can, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Now what we're gonna do is, remember I told you? Austin goes shorter on the side. He want, cause you know, like I said, these guys come in like every 2 weeks. They want their hair tight, you know. So you have to come down a little shorter on the sides, which we are. So this is when you incorporate the trimmers. You see this? And even I'm gonna be using the same concept. I'm not gonna upstroke as high. I'm using these to clean up to get that skin tight effect. You understand? That's what these are for. But if you're not careful, you can indent a line with these. And with Austin has a fine textured hair too. It holds lines easy. I'm gonna go over this, but like I said, most of it, I'm not gonna have a lot of work. I'm gonna blend this out. It's gonna be nice, but you don't want to indent lines, especially with his hair tight. All right. So starting the same way. Notice I'm just using my wrist still. Just a little. You see how I'm doing that? And see how low, you can see how short these cut, you see? And be careful around them ears. You know, so I'm being very careful. And this way you gotta be careful. You know, there's a lot of my clients, and Austin would tell you, I've been successful. A lot of my clients they don't have the bumps and stuff on the back of their neck, and I seriously believe it's my the way I disinfect. A lot of people, like I said, I mean, I'm vain with it. I'm really vain with, you know, I've never wanted my clients to have bumps, and I know Austin's never been through that. But just gotta know how to disinfect. You see that? See how much lower it is? And I got these sharpened too. So when you get, you know, we can't use a straight razor. Some, you know, a barber now, they probably will go over with a straight razor on the side. But you can adjust your clippers to cut just as low. You know what I mean?
You're just doing the very bottom right now.
Just the very bottom, yeah. If you can't see, you can. And also I'm using my wrist.
Under your guideline.
Yes. And I'm gonna go over that again. Austin here, like I said, his hair type holds lines easy, so you gotta be real careful when you know, especially I'm cutting his hair. I had to. So I said, I always keep it clean. I always cut. If his hair was greasy and oily, it'll be a nightmare right now. So.
So that's as smooth as a bald haircut?
Yeah. We're gonna blend this. I'm gonna go through the steps again, but for time's sake, let's get this. Remember I told you I use these just for the hairline trimming. Austin line, we're gonna be real careful, but this is where the hairline trimming comes in. And hairline trimming is something, you know, I notice the way I hold it, if you notice, just naturally I've gripped it. Index finger, my middle finger, my thumb. It's kind of like I'm not, you know, you gotta be real careful with these because you can cut people really easy. So you don't want to put force, but you gotta learn how to hold it gently. And once again, you're using your wrist. That's why I said get used to using your wrist movements. We're gonna establish a line right quick before I gotta do his face too. So let's hurry up. Now my hairline trim, I like to go from the middle. I don't have a mirror in front of me, but this is where I utilize the mirror. This is why, because I've seen some barbers that they're natural. They can kind of just freestyle and get it straight, but I always prefer to use the mirror as a tool. So I'll usually start on one side and gonna do the other. Notice how I'm touching his hair, and I gotta work his line in. But I don't want to take his line back too far. Okay. I'll come on that side in a minute, you all. Notice how when I'm edging his hair, I'm not, only when I'm in the middle, I guess in the middle of his forehead, I'm using more of the blade. But if you watch what I'm doing now, I'm actually just using a corner of that blade. You see that? You don't really need to utilize. I think this is why people usually take people line back and they think they gotta have that whole blade on the hair, but it's usually from side to side. Now I do this corner here, it's the same.
And it's supposed to be a corner right there?
I'm just using the corner of the blade just to get it clean.
But is the line supposed to be brought out to the corner?
If he wants it like that.
Well, you can kind of tell with his natural hairline. I'm going with where his hairline go.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, Austin has a tricky line already, so I don't want to push it back. But I want to keep it straight.
That's not true.
So let's.
Josh's line is true.
And notice I'm steadily brushing his hair. Now remember when I smoothed it earlier? When I was going with the blade open? I was doing that I was kind of setting it up for the hairline. Because his hair is already funny and I wanted the hair to lay down. You want it flat. And the thing with a hairline trim is to clean the natural line up. You know, I know barbers, I used to cut with some of them, they purposely take the line back because in a week or two the client has to come back and get his hair recut. You know, I don't do that to people, but that's a trick. That's a trick that a lot of barbers use to keep people coming in, so you don't do that.
Josh doesn't have a hair.
You all see me there? And I'm gonna go over his line. I'm just setting up for the finish. And notice, like I was telling them over there, notice I'm using this side of when I'm dealing with his hairline up about here, just a corner of the blade, not too much of it. And notice I'm just nipping his hair. I'm not indenting because these are sharp.
Did you really cut the skin open?
Excuse me?
You can't cut the skin open, can you?
You can cut someone with these, yeah. You can really, if you're not careful. You gotta be careful. Okay, let me see. Alright. So we come back. He's transforming. We land in the plane. Okay, now is, like I said, Austin hair is pretty, we don't have a line to worry about trying to work out and get out. You know, that's what I'm saying. But you do have to go over and clean that hair. You know, to get it I want a clean face. But I'm not dealing with, if you notice, I'm not trying to fade a line out. What I'm doing, I'm just cleaning up the hair I didn't get. You notice that? I'm going to shape his chin strap right now. And some guys like it thinner or wider. It's just a matter of asking the client how wide they want it. But Austin is pretty much, his is pretty much, you know, normal. You'll see what I mean. Some guys like it pencil thin, some guys like it wide, but he's like right in between. So. And then you notice, like I said, and when I say, you know, I'm just using these for my edging. You see, this for edging. Hey, hair, this is money in cutting hair. This is a transformation here, huh?
Is that what they're for?
Well, you know, these are trimmers, so it's only one side anyway.
Oh, okay.
These cut a low anyway, so. Austin doesn't connect here. Some guys like their goatee and stuff connected. He just goes straight across with it, so. Alright. I'm just playing with, see, I'm taking, and the key you all is to take your time. Take your time. And try to find a shop if you can. Try to find a shop and try to stay. Sometimes the politics, you know, don't permit you. You know, like that shop I was at, you know, he eventually, you know, closed up because he didn't have licensed people working. Some things you can't really avoid, but try to avoid it. But, you know what I mean? With all the chaos, it's like you can make a lot of money. My story was I'll tell you the truth, I was doing security. And my wife used to get her hair done there, and the owner, like I said, he hired everybody without a license. Now, I was really in school, just in Panorama City, and this guy let me come in. I didn't have my license, but I was going to get it. I was going to take the test again, and I did it. But it took so much pressure, but I was coming in, and I started cutting hair, and I was making like $80 to $100 half days. It was hard to go. I started calling off from work, talking to them any kind of way at work, so I eventually quit. But you know, I got my license. But it's sad that it was such a popular salon. It's sad it closed like that, and the owner eventually shot and killed someone. So when you have stuff going on and things are not ran correctly, it's all. That's why you just want to try to work in a shop that's, you know, that's trustworthy and incredible now. You see what I mean? I do rent my station. I rent at $150 a week. That's actually good for Ventura. But on the average, a lot of guys, you know, I wouldn't mind working in the shop with commission, but the thing, you want to make sure the shop is really busy. You see what I mean? Booth rent, I pay $150 and everything else is mine. So that's more, but that's usually how it goes. Some spots charge more for booth rent though. I think the average is about $200 or more. Some cheap place, maybe $125. It depends. It depends on where you at. Okay. And then remember, you see, I'm really particular, so this is where I do most of my shaving at. Notice I'm using my wrist and you gotta be really. It looks like I'm going fast, but see, once you learn the tension, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on the skin, so it's not cutting them. And usually you can kind of use indications. If you cut, some people have really sensitive skin. You can't avoid that. But the skin will start to turn red, so that's an indication to kind of use it. And if the skin is sensitive, I'll come back to it. I won't mess around, because sometimes you can't avoid when someone has sensitive skin, but you want to try to really not irritate it anymore. Okay, so 1 minute. I'm gonna cut his hair down his face a little more. So see, this is where I know I use a 1, but I want this to lay down a little more. So I'm gonna go halfway. He usually shallow his down. You shallow far, huh? A little lower?
That's fine. Actually, can't really see.
Okay, well I'm just gonna, just a little more, so it'll lay down. And then I'm gonna show you a trick here, so. One thing about facial hair, it grows really fast. So a lot of people that come in, they use these. Some guys wear it longer, some guys prefer it short. You know, when you learn how to clipper cut, I used to come a long time ago. I've done them here, you know, like I teach how to clipper cut. But whenever you learn it, it's good to try to use a friend, a boyfriend, someone you know. But clipper cutting is already having you nervous if you're not used to using clippers. But it works out a lot better if you know that person. Believe me, it takes that edge off.
How long did it take you to master this?
The more and more you cut, the better you get. I would say, and I'm still learning. You're always learning, but I I would, you know, I know how to cut before I even went to school. So I went to the Army, by the way. So I learned how to cut different. That's why I got my practice at, I think. I messed a lot of people up in there, but they didn't care. They didn't care. They said just shave it off. What I'm doing here now, I went down to halfway with the blade as far as his beard. What I'm doing now is I usually, so it's not as because we fading it out. He has a skin tight face. So what I do is I kind of fade this into his sides here, so it looks, it's gonna lighten up a little. And when I'm doing that, I'm using the same. It's kind of weird because I'm going up now. What I'm doing is this is a 1. I'm going backwards. So 3, 2. I come up a little. It's kind of like the upstroke I was saying, not as far, and then 1, and I'm coming up here. I just want that. I try to blend that out up there. See that? So it's not as, you know. I did this. Go. Yeah, Austin comes in every 2 weeks. Okay, now let me go. So now, like I said, at this point, this one the plane, I'll call it landing. I'm just gonna be touching up to get this cut exactly like I want it. The thing about chin straps, everything is, get everything precise. I'm gonna start back up. I have some things I'm working on. Like I said, I'm trying to become like a platform artist for Andis. I'm working on that now. So I would like to do that.
Platform artist?
You know, yeah, when you go, you know, you go to the shows and you gotta be selling the clippers.
Okay.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
There's so much money to be made in this industry. It's not just, you know, behind a chair, that's cool, but there's so many other things you can do with your license, and it's incredible. So just stick with it and don't quit. Believe it or not, guys, they like that old school. They like the burn, you know, just old school. All these dabs, someone put it on.
They like the burn.
They like the
They do. And then I usually just go, this is for the side, this is for the irritation I might have occurred. This is an extra step in the disinfection sanitation process. I go across this hairline. See, it smells good too. I love things that smell good. See that?
You could use a toner if you don't have this, right?
A toner?
Yeah, because
I guess you can. It is. Any form of astringent is good, but guys usually like alcohol. With this type of cut, it is like customary. Usually alcohol or a lime sec like this. And then what I do is, you know,
Hot towel.
yeah, you can't use those dusters. You're not supposed to as cosmetologists. Yeah, you're not supposed to. So,
That's so cute though.
you know, one thing working in a salon, you kind of develop salon habits, but as long as you stay on the stream of the main disinfection, you know what I mean, you're okay. Because you're gonna do, I think everybody, even the teachers can agree, once you start working in a salon, you don't do stuff exactly like in school.
They're not sanitized. Yeah, because you can't squirt them down like with makeup.
So this just gets the hair off of the, you know, this.
I always want to use them on my guys. You can. They're not.
Yeah, this is more sanitary.
Yeah.
So you're not supposed to use them.
All right. Yeah, I was.
Of course. Oh my God.